The news, and it is everywhere. Now, Clonade, a company backed by a group called the Raelian religious movement, claims to have produced a human clone. But so far, there's been no evidence to prove that. But could that all change today?
I'm very, very pleased to announce that the first baby clone is born.
Can that be true? Or is it some kind of twisted tale made up by a group of people calling themselves the Raelians? Late last year, Raelian Bishop Dr. Bridget Waslier announced that a biotechnology company named Clonade had done it. The Raelians believe that humans evolved from aliens through cloning. Cloning leads to eternal life. Their spiritual leader, 56-year-old former race car driver and journalist Rael, founded the organization after he allegedly was abducted by aliens in 1973. But many are suspect of their claims and are opposed to their practices.
The human race is not open for experimentation, and manufacture of human beings at any level, even the embryonic level, is wrong.
If it is true, though, it's extraordinarily disturbing and sad, actually, that some fringe group would go ahead and try to do an experiment that virtually every scientist in the world said was irresponsible and dangerous to do.
Human cloning. The debate continues. Now we're going to get answers from members of the Raelian movement, including the vice president of Clonade, Thomas Kainsing, and Raelian priest Mary Ellen Parent. We'll also talk to medical experts and a former Raelian who claims the whole thing is a hoax. Now, Clonades and the Raelians, is it the real thing? That's up next. Now, if Clonade has really produced a human clone, where's the proof? We'll talk about those claims, and later we'll meet a mother who's counting on Clonade to produce a clone of her daughter who died tragically a year ago. Now, Thomas Kainsing and Mary Ellen Parent are both members of the Raelian movement, and Thomas is vice president of Clonade. Now, Clonade's CEO, Bridget Waslier, made this announcement. Please listen.
Very, very pleased to announce that the first baby clone is born. The parents are American citizen. The mother is 31. She is the one who has been cloned, and she carried her baby.
Now, thanks for being here, both of you. And I want to say we're going to try to provoke a healthy debate today and be objective about this. Now, Thomas, you know, the real debate now, after that announcement, I mean, that's an earth-shaking announcement. The debate and the questions from journalists worldwide, not just here in America, is where is the proof? Where is the baby?
We would like to provide the proof as quick and as soon as possible. You probably heard about what happened since we made the announcement. There has been this attorney in Florida asking for a guardian for the child. We've had the FDA, the SEC, different government agencies launching investigation. And that scared the parents a lot. You have to put yourself in the mind of a family who's been waiting for years, for many, many years, to have a baby. They're very happy the baby's here, but they're very concerned about what's happening right now, and they don't want to take any risk for the baby to be taken away. So we proceed as soon as possible, as soon as the family will feel safe, and then we'll go ahead.
I think, you know, the fears are legitimate, and I also think the questions are legitimate. This attorney in Florida has filed to be guardian of the child. Why? Why would he do that?
No, he hasn't filed for him to be guardian.
Oh.
He asked the juvenile court. It's going to be hearing next week, and we don't want to go into specific details, but he would like to have a guardian appointed for the child, saying that the child's being exploited. And that's very funny because we don't show the child on TV saying, hey, here it is, and we don't exploit it. He also said if the child might have some problems, some physical problems, that's another reason why it should be have a guardian for it. And I hope that all people with handicapped children will write to Siegel and tell him this is really a big insult. How could you say, just in case the baby would have any problem, it should have a guardian? Would that mean that any parent having a handicapped child should be having the child taken away. How could they do that?
Which is truly unfair. If you had a Down syndrome baby or something, I guess the concern is that, you know, so far the sheep that was cloned rapidly aged and that there's been problems in the past with cloning. But no law I know exists on the books now that says just because you were successful in cloning a child, that child should be taken away by the state. If I were the parents, I would say, here's the child, here's a swab of the DNA, let's get it tested, it's our baby, we'll fight this lawyer.
Yes. And you're very correct that we would be very happy to do things. You're saying there's no law against cloning. Perfect. Why has this attorney launched this lawsuit? Why did all the government agencies launch their actions? Why in South Korea?
Well, they have every right to investigate, you know, the actions.
There's nothing illegal. And put yourself, also look back in time. When Louisa Brown, the first test tube babe, was born 25 years ago, we had exactly the same reaction. People didn't understand IVF, in vitro fertilization.
Right.
We had the same ethical concerns. People were saying it was dangerous. And the identity of Louisa Brown had to be kept secret for many, many years. And we see the same thing happen again with cloning. Now, we hope that people understand who can really benefit from the technology. And that's what the most important that we got to talk about. When we talk about reproductive cloning, we talk about infertile couples. We talk about homosexual couples. We talk about people of AIDS who don't want to pass on the disease to their child nor to their partner. We talk about people who lost a child. And we talk about singles who don't want to have a partner and still like to have a child with their own genes. That's the people we talk about.
Huge amount of possibilities and
those
potential
people have a
here.
sincere interest,
Right.
and they're looking forward so much to this technology. And this is just reproductive human cloning. Let's talk about therapeutic human cloning. You have people in a wheelchair who will be able to walk again thanks to this technology. Are you going to tell them it's unethical, it shouldn't be done? That's ridiculous. And we just see the same reaction like anything new.
It's similar like the debate of stem cell
criticism.
research and stuff like that. Let me ask you, Mary Ellen, you're a Raelian priest. Tell me a little bit about how you joined the movement, and tell me a little bit about cloning.
Yes, because it's two different things.
Right.
You have the Raelian movement, you have this company that is completely separate. And in the company, there is scientists. This is not the Raelian who just go there and try to make a clone. It is a professional scientists who are there and they know what they're doing. And I read the messages of His Holiness Rael in 1978. That's quite a long time ago. And when I read the book, I said, wow. Because I was Catholic, I was believing in God, and finally I could understand who he was. Who is this guy, you know?
You were a Catholic?
Yes,
Right.
I was raised Catholic. And I was very religious, and I keep on being religious, and we have a very high level of spirituality as a Raelian. But finally I could understand that the people who created us, it's not just a big being sitting on a cloud with a magic stick in 6 days creating everything. Finally, those are people like us. It's in the Bible, the Elohim. It means those who came from the sky. It's Hebrew, and it's plural. And they created us on their image after their likeness. They're like us. They're human beings, but they're so advanced scientifically that what they can do is like a miracle
So
to
that's
us.
the Raelian philosophy, that a very gentle, sophisticated people from another planet came here. Now, we have a little bit of tape from Rael, and let's listen to this.
Right now, cloning is just the possibility to have a twin brother. Right now, what we can do, what is possible to do, and what I hope Dr. Sid will do, is to create a baby. The next step is when you can, through a process which does exist on the Elohim planet, and which will be discovered on Earth for sure, is what they call accelerated growth process. Accelerated growth process is to be able to create directly an adult from one of your cells. The third step, and this is the one the most interesting, is when you will be able to transfer your memory and personality directly in the individual you obtain through accelerated growth process. Then it's really yourself, with your memory, with your personality, in a new body.
Now, the last thing that he said is probably one of the most fascinating things, is that you could almost create immortality with this process, right?
You can.
Well, let's talk about that when we come back. We've got a lot to talk about here. There's so many aspects of this. And coming up next, we're going to meet a desperate mother who's been corresponding with Clonate over the internet. with the hope that it can bring back her deceased daughter to life. She says she can't wait to meet Thomas for the first time. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
There is such an empty when you lose a child you can't recover from. And to have a twin of her would fill that. It would take a lot to replace in my heart. Don't think I can go on another day.
Your movement is so far left of the normal scientific community, and yet you made such a big splash. You talk the talk. You owe it to the world to walk the walk.
Now, many people are skeptical about the Raelian movement and its claims that its company, Clonaid, has successfully cloned a human, a baby girl they call Eve. While there has been no evidence to support their claims, many, including our next guests, believe Clonaid has the ability to give them what they need. Jamie has been corresponding with Clonaid over the internet because she wants to have her late daughter, Carrie, cloned. She's very excited because she's about to meet Thomas, Clonaid's vice president, for the very first time. Now, Jamie's here with her daughter, Christina. Would you please welcome them to the show? Nice to meet you. Please sit down here. First, thank you both for coming, and I'm so sorry about the loss of your daughter. I know exactly what that feels like. We're not supposed to bury our children.
That's right.
And I know it was a very difficult thing, and it was just about a year ago, wasn't it?
February the 18th will be a year.
It'll be a year. The tough year, the first year is always the worst, I say. The holidays and all those things. And she left 3 beautiful children.
Yes,
didn't she did. So I've got to ask you, why do you want to clone your daughter?
Carrie might not have been exceptional to most of you. You never knew her. But to all her friends and everyone, she was. Mm-hmm. And especially to me. There is such an empty when you lose a child you can't recover from. Mm-hmm. And to have a twin of her would fill that. It would take a lot to replace in my heart. It's just like every day, do I go on another day without her? And I know you know how that feels.
I know exactly how it feels. I was fortunate enough to have 3 children after Adam. And after Adam was murdered, we were fortunate enough to have a daughter instead of a son, because lots of times for parents of murdered or children of suicide or however they die, they mistakenly believe that the next child is a replacement. I never believed that, and God graced us with a daughter. And I don't believe that we can replace Adam. I believe that he's a spirit or he's an angel somewhere, but that's my opinion.
Well, John, I'm not trying to replace my Carrie that's in the ground.
Right.
I just want a twin of her. I can see her face. I can try to raise her again as a different one. She'll be a total different. I know that. Mm-hmm. But I can see that smile again. She'll look the same. She'll most likely act the same. I can see that beautiful smile again. I can hold her and I can touch her. There is no greater love than a mother. There is just not any. Don't think I can go on another day.
You can. You will. I'll tell you that. I've been there. I know. You will.
It gets harder to me.
No, but you've got those grandchildren, and you've got a daughter right here, and I've got to ask your daughter, how do you feel about your mother's, desire to clone your sister, and what do you think about this?
I think it's absolutely wonderful. Mm-hmm. I want her back too. I know it's not going to be her. Mm-hmm. Her.
But you say you want her back too, but it's not going to be her. It sounds like a contradiction.
It's going to be different because she's going to be raised differently.
But, Kyle, Carrie's son, is the one who planted this idea in your mind, didn't he?
Yes,
Because he saw it on TV. Now, I talked to Kyle earlier, this loving, beautiful little boy. I mean, I was so impressed by how hard his life has been, how tough his life has been, and I don't want to go into certain aspects of it, but he is one wonderful little soul.
I'm very proud of him.
Yes, and I just want you to see what Kyle and I talked about. Kyle, tell me a little bit about your mom.
My mom, she had a hard life.
She passed away. Now, you're watching TV one day, and you see this thing about these cloning, about these people, these Raelians, and that they're trying to clone human beings, right? And what did you do?
I went to my grandma's and I told her I found a way how to clone my mom, and I want to know if it could be done.
If they cloned your mom, what would happen?
My grandma would try to take care of her, and then when I get older, it's going to go to me, and I have to take care of her.
A lot of people say it's impossible.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It could be done.
Now, this is a beautiful little boy and a loving little boy.
It is.
And two questions I've got to ask you. What if it can't be done? Are you setting this little boy up for big disappointment here?
No, this little boy's the one that called me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Grandma, we got to try.
And you've been talking to CloneAid, and I know you've been talking to Thomas, and you'll see him after the show, and you'll talk to him. What would something like this cost? How would they do it? And where would you get the DNA from your daughter?
I already have the DNA from my daughter. She was autopsied.
What would this cost to do this when you talk to CloneAid?
They've never quoted me a price, never asked me anything like that.
Thomas, what would it cost for someone to clone a loved one or themselves?
Yeah. Today we expect the cost to be between $100,000 and $200,000, but that's always depending on the case. And just to come back to what Jamie said before, you know, of course we won't be able to bring her back the same child. Everybody knows this. It's going to grow up with a different environment, in a different place, with a different education. But it's as close as you can get today with the technology today available. It's going to be an identical twin, deferred in time, technically speaking, but it's for her, emotionally, we understand it's as close as she can get. If you talk about human cloning, think of the people you're talking about. It's very easy to say cloning is dangerous or unethical if you're in a concern yourself. But if you're yourself in that position to have lost somebody or suffer from infertility or the other things I talked about before that could be helped thanks to therapeutic cloning, put yourself in the position of those people and how would you react? That's the question. We always say, if you don't want to have access to the technology, that's fine. Nobody's going to impose anything on you.
Right.
But for those people, let those people with a sincere interest in this technology, let them have access to it.
It's a legitimate claim. Now, we've got lots more questions and other people here that don't think it's the right thing to do. So we're going to talk to them when we come back, and a former Raelian who thinks that this is a hoax. And we'll also hear why some say cloning is ethically and morally unacceptable. A lot more in this debate. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Our children are gifts to be loved and protected, not products to be designed and manufactured. Allowing cloning would be taking a significant step toward a society in which human beings are grown for spare body parts and children are engineered to custom specifications. And that's not acceptable.
Now, on December 27th, 2002, the CEO of a company called CloneAid announced that a human clone had been born. We still don't know if that's true, but we do know that it has stirred up so much debate and a lot of opposition. Daniel McConchie is with the Center for Bioethics and Human Dignity. Daniel, thanks for being here.
Certainly.
Debate isn't the word for it. I mean, this is a worldwide controversy. Do you believe that this happened, that this baby exists?
I personally don't think that. The situation that has been outlined for us here is given to where we have now a company who claims that they have done this, but have offered no proof whatsoever, have not have any historical track record indicating that they've been able to do this in the past, and still are to this date just basically want us to believe them and say, well, we've done it, you know, we're not going to show you the proof, but you know, you should just believe
Now, whether
us.
they have or not, let's you know, I'll be the devil's advocate. Let's say baby Eve exists. Is it morally ethical? You know, is it legally ethical? What are your feelings about all that?
Well, currently in the United States, it's not illegal, though the FDA has attempted to establish some jurisdiction over that. That's very tenuous jurisdiction. We'll have to see how that plays out. Concerning moral and ethical issues, I don't believe that's an ethical thing. I believe that the situation in which cloning is usually put forward usually is a case where people want to use the child for some other purpose other than the child themselves.
Well, now, here's a couple. I read some articles, questions were posed by other scientists in other parts of the world. Because of the not such a great experience with the cloned sheep, if the children have birth defects, is this a form of child abuse? Is that a legitimate question or not?
Well, I think it is. We have, in all of our animal testing to date, there is not a single normal clone. All of them have some sort of genetic defect or problem of some sort, just where imprinting.
Well, what do you say to people who say, I don't care if my child is not perfect, that even if it's a Down syndrome baby? I mean, here's a mom, I think, that would like to have some kind of contact with a clone of her deceased daughter, even if it was a handicapped child.
Then the purpose of the establishment of the clone is not for the child themselves. The clone is being created for somebody else's purposes. And
well, when you created a baby for yourself, you created it for yourself too.
Well,
That's the way I look at it.
I'm sorry, but my initial question to people generally is, would you like to be a clone yourself? And I haven't met anyone yet who wants to be a clone. And I think if nobody really wants to be a clone, then we should ask the question as to why are we, pursuing cloning? Is that something that if nobody really wants to be one, then shouldn't it be something that we don't allow?
Now, here in the United States, we have tons of kids in orphanages and foster homes and in the system, and I've met many of them. Homes are full of abused and molested children. Why not adopt those children? Why not take the responsibility of those children rather than create new children? What is that?
Because everyone wants their own genetic makeup.
I'm sorry, but I find that to be egotistical.
I'm going to take a quick question.
I'm afraid my question really related to what you were saying about adopting. Ma'am, Jamie, if you have so much love to give, and I'm very sorry for your loss. I'm only 22 and I've never experienced a loss like that, and I sympathize most deeply. If you have so much love to give, why not take one of these children who are hurting and don't have parents? I mean, this will not be your daughter because she won't be that age. She won't be the mother of your grandson, who's a beautiful boy. Why not just adopt?
Well, I can answer that for you. Because nobody can take the place of my Carrie. She's my biological makeup, and I don't care. I don't see where the government tells me the right. I can't help back what is mine. God gave me that DNA, and he gave it to her, and all I'm doing is having a twin of her. What is wrong with that? I don't understand this.
We're going to continue with this debate, and when we come back, a man who spent 17 years of his life as a devoted Raelian will tell us why he believes the whole religion and its leader is a sham. Stay with us. The debate continues. We'll be right back. Do you believe this is a religion or a cult?
It's more a cult.
You do?
Yeah, and I strongly believe that Rael, he's egomaniac. He wants to be known all over the world, and he's using the cloning technology to get his goal.
The goal of the cloning project is to give to human beings eternal life.
Now we're talking about the Raelian movement and the company Clonage, which boasts the creation of a human clone, but we haven't seen any proof of that yet. We haven't seen that little girl, Eve. You've got a question.
Yes, I have a question. You say you want this clone, and it's going to be a look-alike, but being that it's not that actual person, it's not going to have the same friends, it probably won't even like the same thing, so it's not fair to the clone for you to pressure the clone to be
No, you don't
just
understand.
Like that person.
It's not. I know it's not going to be my Carrie in the ground. Let's get this clear right now. This is going to be a twin. And yes, I know she's going to have different characteristics, but her face will be the same. She will look the same, and she will be my genetic makeup in Carrie's. It will be just like my baby girl again.
And even some characteristics will be the same because some are genetically
So please
rooted.
don't misquote me. I do know this is not my Carrie in the ground.
Yeah, my question is for Thomas, I believe.
Yeah.
Your movement is so far left of the normal scientific community, and yet you made such a big splash. You talk the talk. You owe it to the world to walk the walk.
You
How many wackos walked in abortion clinics to throw a bomb at them? You know, they're just afraid of their... If you've been waiting for a child for so many years, and now it's here, you're not going to take a risk for some idiot pointing a gun at it. Keep that in mind. Try to put yourself in the mind of the family. That's what many people forget. Put yourself in the mind of the family. How they would feel, how would they react?
That's legitimate.
Thomas, what about the second clone baby that was announced earlier this month to the Dutch couple? What about proof from that?
We work on that right now. We're looking at different options because we know the world is waiting for proof. But as Dr. Boisselier always said very nicely, I don't trade in the trust that the patients gave to me for scientific proof. The scientific proof will come as soon as they are ready, and I won't trade in the trust of the patient. And we receive a lot of support.
How are you going to ever guarantee the trust? How are you going to ever guarantee the trust of those families? You're never going to be able to guarantee it.
They feel at risk. They don't want to go
My statement is for the mother. You say that you believe that God blessed you with that child.
Yes,
Wouldn't
he did.
God also take that child away for a certain reason?
And God can give me back my child.
We were created with the capacity of becoming scientific and being able to clone people. It's natural because it's in us. If God or whatever you believe who created you did put in you this capacity of becoming a scientist and really choose your destiny, I think it's natural. It's natural. We are scientists. We will do the same thing that the Elohim did for us. We will create another humanity on another planet.
Now,
it's natural.
Now, Eric is here in the audience. He's right here. Eric, please stand up. And he was a member of the Raelian movement until he made a realization. Eric, thanks for being here. I think
pleasure.
it's always good for healthy debate. It's very important. You were a Raelian for how long?
For 17 years.
17 years.
Yes, for 17 years I deeply believe in Rael and all his philosophy.
Mm-hmm. What changed your mind?
In 1999, at my last meditation seminar, I've seen things that I really didn't like. And afterward, I started my own brainwashing process to wash my brain of the Raelian belief and to all put them in question. And I did some research, and I found out that everything that Rael say in his first book was already printed by author that was published in France, in French language, before him. So 98% of everything that's said in his first book was already said by author before him. But Rael, he never told me that. You know, I've lost 17 years of my life believing in his lies, and now I have absolute truth that is lies. So I've lost years of my life believing in that guy.
You know, it's very funny. You told me it took you 17 years to start questioning. And I'm happy you left the movement because all Raelians, normally, they question the philosophy and everything before.
And the door is open.
And the door is open for anybody.
Go
and I questioned and studied Rael's teaching many months before.
Let me ask you one thing. We're out of time.
Not
Do you
after.
believe this is a religion or a cult? I mean,
It's more a cult.
You do?
Yeah, and I strongly believe that Rael, he's egomaniac. So that's he wants to be known all over the world, and he's using the cloning technology to get his goal.
You seem that you know the truth itself. And
I know
I've
lots
been a
of
Raelian
truth.
since 1978, okay? I've been a Raelian since 1978.
Yeah.
And I've been close to Rael, doing interviews and traveling. And this man is the most humble man I can find on the planet. If he attracts
That's why
attention,
he said he wants to be
let me
the
finish.
biggest prophet.
If he attracts attention through the media, it's because he has a mission. If he wants to spread
What's
the
his
word,
mission?
if he wants to spread the word of the message of the Elohim, he needs to be able to speak. He doesn't do that for himself. He does that because we need to prepare humanity for this day that will arrive before
This day that
2035.
when the extraterrestrials come here.
Yes.
When When is that
It's going to
day?
be before 2035. And the humanity has to be prepared. And I think now it's
Before 2035,
Yes,
that's what
yes.
you believe?
We are privileged to live in this time right now because everything will happen now. And it's
Whose
important.
prophecy is that?
This is in the message that His Holiness Israel received from the Elohim that he met in 1973 and in 1975. And you need to read Rael's book to see, to really, because now you hear Eric, you're
Well, he's entitled to his
the
opinion.
message.
He's
Read the
entitled, and
message,
people leave religions.
What's important is the message.
Okay, we'll continue. We got lots more to talk about. And is human cloning really going on? We'll ask the founder of the Human Cloning Foundation when we come back. Please stay with us. This debate continues. It's fascinating. Okay. Thank you. The debate continues about cloning. The Raelians and a spin-off company of theirs called CloneAid say they have a baby named Eve, the first successful cloned human. Now, you got a question.
Yes. My question is for Jamie. How do you feel, have you given any thought to how your copying your daughter or a figure of your daughter is going to impact your grandson as he gets older?
Well, I've talked with Kyle about this, and I've explained to him this is not going to be your mother. This is like a twin, like she had a twin. It's not going to be your mother, and you've got to understand that, and he says that he understands.
Now, I know how you feel, but when I talk to him, he says this is when, even though it's a baby, she's going to love me. This is going to be my mom. I think he thinks this is going to be his mom, only it's going to be a younger version of his mom.
Well,
and he
then-
said really something touching. He said, when she gets older, I'm going to take care of her, and she's going to be able to love me, and I'm going to be able to show her the love. So I don't think he really
He's
understands.
told me that also. I've talked to Kyle about that because, you know, I'm up there in the years.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter Christy is going to take the baby if something should happen to me and raise it, or my daughter Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Now Kyle will play an active role if he so chooses to, because that is a twin of his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I think you're going to have to clarify that. Anyway, let's take a question.
I was just wondering, how is it fair to the clone that, like, she's going to grow up knowing that she's replacing a void and, like, that's not fair to her?
Because she's special too, because she is her.
Yeah, but she
She's
was only
100%
created to fill a
her.
void in your heart. She would not be here unless your daughter did not die.
You know, how many, this is very funny, how many people lost a child and after their loss, just as John had another child, would anybody say that new child born through so-called natural production is a replacement? No. Why should it be different for a clone? So this is not really an argument.
So she's a twin, because she can look like Carrie and be like her.
My question is for Thomas and his associate. What type of profit margin is there for this business of cloning? How much money does your organization make from it?
Right now, we're spending a lot of money. 3 years of research we have to write off, and we can only survive thanks to the trust from our investors. As I told before, our early patients didn't pay anything because they were the first ones. And it's thanks to the trust we got from our early investors. People who believe in the technology, people who know that this technology is one of the key technologies of the years to come, and it will help many, many people. And, you know, we're very excited about it. And we know, there was somebody telling before, we're kind of a fringe or whatever. Any new technology came in to the world thanks to somebody who was a pioneer, somebody who dared to question beliefs.
But Tom,
somebody,
you're
anything,
absolutely
anything,
right.
we have it thanks to pioneers.
You're absolutely right. But why hasn't a major pharmaceutical company that make millions and millions of dollars, why haven't they invested millions and millions of dollars with you?
Because they're afraid. They're politically correct. They put on their suit and their tie in the morning, go to work and do their job and pay their bills. That's their life. You need somebody who's a pioneer, somebody who really wants to push mankind forward. And you don't find that many people,
But
unfortunately.
John, if I can respond on this real quick. The issue, though, of this being a new technology and being a pioneer, this is not something like in vitro. A lot of people liken this to in vitro fertilization or other fertility techniques, and it's not the same. And the reason why is because these other fertility techniques are either attempting to fix or to replicate existing natural processes. And there is nothing like cloning. Cloning is not a natural process that happens in mammals in any way, shape, or form. And so any way of doing this is going to be experimentation on women and children of the highest order.
It is natural. If we have the capacity of doing it, it's a natural thing.
We can't do this. We can't do this in animals. We can't do this successfully.
Oh yes, they have some success
cloning
already.
scientists who work in mammals, because we don't know of any who've given us evidence for humans, but the cloning scientists who work in animals say there is not a single normal clone. Not a single normal one.
Not a single normal clone.
It's not true.
But,
It's not true. There's
It's
many
not a
success.
fact. And all the problems that have occurred with animals are always species related. So you can't transfer those on a one-to-one basis to humans, let alone that for humans we have more than 25 years of experience in artificial human reproduction, thanks to IVF, test tube babies. So it's a different story. Let's talk about the scientific facts.
I place my trust, I guess, in this regard on scientists who have a track record in this regard. Rudolf Janisch, who's a leading embryologist at MIT, has said that it would be virtually impossible to create a normal, healthy human clone. Maybe 1 in 1,000 would be normal after that.
And here we
have people who have demonstrated no evidence whatsoever, and they're just saying, please believe us.
Debate continues. We got a lot more when we come back. Stay with us. Randolph Wicker is the founder of the Human Cloning Foundation. And Randolph, you've been sitting here for a long time. You've listened to both sides of this debate. You're right in the middle of it. Why haven't they produced this baby? Do you believe that cloning can happen? Do you believe that they do have a baby?
No, they don't have a baby. This is the biggest stunt, sort of a mixture of P.T. Barnum and Father Divine, and they've made a fantastic show of it. But they have no proof, and they haven't cloned anyone. You talk about investing money. Advanced Cell Technology, Jerome Corporation, big technology companies are pursuing cloning, but they're pursuing therapeutic cloning through stem cell research. The problem these people present is that they're going to get people so upset about reproductive cloning. And I want to make one really important point in that, because I've talked to Jamie a lot on the phone, but I think before she met the Raelians, cloning's about love and about helping infertile people have children, and about helping people like Jamie perhaps have a later born twin. And that twin would be very similar to the daughter she lost. But when infertile couples come to me today and say, please, IVF hasn't worked, we desperately want a child of our own, and they want a child of their own because they don't want to take a stranger's genes in their relationship. I tell them to read this book called Adoption Nation by Adam Pertman that really gives you the whole lay of the land. Adoption is totally different today than it used to be, and because cloning today is not viable, and these people are only exploiting cloning, and I personally don't disagree with him. I think this Rael is simply a victim of his own delusions. I read an article in the Science that for 400 years people have had these dreams. They went off into space, used to be with witches on broomsticks, and there were consistencies in their story. He called it sleep paralysis, that these people actually believe these things exist. So I think Rael could really believe the nonsense that he's preaching, and it's really a reinterpretation of a lot of old Bible stories. That's something that's lost in the mix here. People don't realize that the Raelians really are a religion, and they're a valid religion, and cloning is almost like central and a sacrament to religion. And when the Koreans start kicking in the doors and the FDA starts hounding them, they're violating Raelians' right to religious practice and belief. And that is never...
two different things. There's a Raelian movement, which is a religious organization throughout the world, with 55,000
And he said that. He said
it's...
But the reward for the good life. I've read Rael's book. I've gone to Montreal. I know the Raelian people. They're beautiful, loving people. On the home planet, according to Rael's book, cloning is a reward for the good life. So cloning is very central to your religion. And even though I don't agree with your viewpoints and I don't share your religion, I respect your right to practice your religion. And when you say you're going to challenge the laws that outlaw cloning as a violation of your religious beliefs, even though I think you're exploiting this cause, I stand with you in the fight for religious freedom.
Now, that's one thing. That's apples. Let's talk about it. I'm confused here because you say you are for cloning.
Absolutely.
You are
it's a
for
reproductive
cloning,
right.
Just not the way they're doing it, and you don't believe they have made it.
No, I for cloning. If you want to attempt cloning, you're an infertile couple. You understand you're not likely to succeed. You're willing to put your body at risk. You're a woman putting your body at risk, and you're willing to take the responsibility to raise this child, even as this child arrives with a disability or handicap. Then I say I take the libertarian position. The Libertarian Party endorses this position. You have the right to do that in consultation with your doctor. This is just like abortion, and the FDA or the government politicians have no business telling you how you can reproduce.
You're just saying they're not there yet.
They're not there. Certainly, this group is not there. This group is simply exploiting the issue.
Are we going to see
Oh,
if they're
yes.
not doing
Oh,
it, are we going to see it soon?
I predicted in U.S. News and World Report in the last year's issue that 2003 would be the year that cloning would occur. Dr. Antonori has already announced that he has 3 on the way, and I think that is quite possibly a very credible claim.
Interesting.
Fascinating. You know, what's going to scare people most is when we will present that baby. That's what it's going to scare people most, and it's going to be a healthy and smiling baby. And that's what most
You're never
people
going
are
to
scared
present
of.
it because it doesn't exist.
It does.
Well, we're all holding our breath. We want it somewhere. You say a baby's coming from the Italian doctor.
Yes.
They say they have
possibly,
one.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly?
Yes, he's the only possibility at the moment. There may be some infertile fertility doctor, 2,700 clinics in the world where this can be done, but people who know what they're doing, these people really don't know anything about fertility treatment or the science involved.
You don't know who are the scientists in clonate. You don't know the scientists.
We've had, in our team, we have some of the top
I was
advisors
on your
in
panel
this
with your
field.
experts, with Brigitte Bossier. I spent days in Montreal. They didn't even understand stem cells when I was there. All they could talk about was downloading memory from one computer to another, which made no sense to me, frankly. I don't think I can put my mind in a computer and transfer it somewhere else.
You mix up things, the philosophy of, which in the long run, we say in the Raelian movement that cloning will lead to eternal life thanks to personality transfer. We're not there.
Yeah, but
That's
you
what we don't
scare
talk
people.
about.
That kind of talk about eternal life, you get people saying we've got to outlaw cloning. These
That's the
crazy
future.
cultists are cloning people, and then the politicians outlaw the technology, which is the basis of therapeutic cloning that offers all kinds of marvelous enablers. Christopher Reeve to walk again, Michael J. Fox
That
to
would be
return to
a
normality.
shame.
That would be the great tragedy if these people cause.
Nothing can stop science. Nothing can stop science. It will come, and it will be accepted by everybody.
We'll be right back. I hope that if Clonate has really produced a human clone, the company will provide the evidence necessary to prove it. Freedom of religion is our right in this country, but there are a lot of unanswered questions here. We're going to see how it all unfolds, and the whole world is waiting, because there could be a lot of good come out of this, or maybe some negative. Now, if you want more information on today's show, please log on to our website at johnwalsh.tv. Thanks a lot for watching today. I always say it, please stay safe. We'll see you next time.